Have our guests stand up and just introduce themselves. Also, in addition to being recorded, one of our attendees is also recording on their personal cell, so everybody knows that.
Craig Carey, for representative.
Catherine Miller, ratepayer and CWA organizer.
And Callahan, ratepayer and CWA organizer.
Bill Ferguson, ratepayer also, and co-founder of Keep Water Affordable.
Mike.
And Patrick Cicero, not a ratepayer, but interested party.
Told Michelle, 47-year retired employee of Chester Water Authority, just coming in for support, and pretty much just to say thank you to Patrick for his gallant efforts to try to keep us on board. And
Did you say you worked for 47 years?
47 years here at Chester Water.
God
Yes,
bless
sir.
you, that's amazing.
Yes, sir.
Tony Leopardi, ratepayer.
I think we got everybody. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Michael. Any comment on our agenda? Hearing none. May I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of January 16th, 2025?
Second.
Mr. Randy,
Yes.
Mr. Herford,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalan,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Washburger,
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker,
yes,
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Sylvester, do we have any action items from our executive session?
Mr. Chairman, we do not. There are no items that need action for the board from the executive session. I will note for the record that the executive session commenced at approximately 11 p.m. today. It contained components of information gathering. No deliberation from the board occurred during those information sessions. However, there were portions that were executive sessions where we discussed litigation matters and some personal matters. The litigation matters were the City of Chester federal bankruptcy case and the Chester Water Authority's participation in it, and also the status of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court remand or reinvigoration, which we haven't had an oral argument scheduled yet, but we have filed a petition asking for that back in December. But there's no action needed, and that constitutes my report today.
Thank you.
May I have the opportunity to comment on item 12 when we get to it?
Item 12?
Yes. Sure. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 8, the Chief Financial Officer's report. I have an item 8A, request to approve expenses by function report. May I have a motion for that?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Randy,
Yes.
Mr. Herford,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalan,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Washburger,
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker,
yes,
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to 9, item 9, Director of Engineering report. There's several items there, and I'd like to go through them one by one. The first is item 9A. Item 9A is a request for authorization to advertise contract 25-001, which is the Sullivan Booster Station improvements, general construction phase, and contract 25-002, which is the Sullivan Booster Station improvements, the electrical portion. We have a motion to approve that item.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Randy,
Yes.
Mr. Herford,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalan,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Washburger,
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker,
yes,
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item, 9B, request authorization to award contract 24-001, which is the water main renewal, and contract 24-024, which is the water main relocation for Conchester Highway.
I so move.
Second.
Mr. Randy,
Yes.
Mr. Herford,
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalan,
Yes.
Mr. Shelton,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Washburger,
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 9C, request to authorize on-call proposal from Allied Control Services for our supervisory control and data acquisition system. And these are for services for a one-year period not to exceed $100,000. We have a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Walshberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is for authorization to purchase several items using the state's CoStar system. One is the carbon control panel. Another is the multi-parameter water quality analyzer. Another is 4 carbon pumps. And another is the Susquehanna pump starter through Kent Electrical Supply. May I have a motion for item 9B, please?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Walshberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next item is 9C, which is a request to approve several main extensions and developer agreements. One is a main extension agreement for Toby Farms. The other is a main extension agreement for Orchard Knoll. And the last is a main extension for Reedville. May I have a motion for item 9E, please?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Walshberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 9F, we have a request to approve a resolution and cost sharing reimbursement letter with PennDOT, and that's for SR 4015. May I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Walshberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item are for approval of pension payments. I always say 2 very happy people. One is Kevin Fitzgerald, effective March 1st, and the other one is Timothy Meck, also effective March 1st. And I just wonder, Michael, are these impinging on the record by the gentleman in the back row there, 47 years?
No.
Okay. Still, okay.
He'd come back if he could.
Right.
So moved.
Okay.
No doubt.
Second.
Mr. Brandon.
Yes.
Mr. Herford.
Yes.
Mrs. Mahalik.
Yes.
Mr. Shelton.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Walshberger.
Yes.
Mrs. Whitaker.
Yes.
Mrs. Williams.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Our next item is the executive manager report. I understand that Mr. Jenkins has something.
Yeah, so board members, I just wanted to announce that just recently we were informed that Chester Water Authority would be receiving the area-wide optimization program award from Pennsylvania DEP. We recently had a filter plant performance evaluation and received a commendable citation for our results. And as a result of that, we'll be receiving an award at the Pennsylvania Rural Water Association Conference in March in State College. Congratulations.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
I would like to then move to new business. Mr. Seltzer, did you want to do a pre-comment or post-comment?
Post, please.
Post-comment, okay. So with that, you see in front of me a beautiful award. And it's something that we are about to give to someone who's very deserving. I'd like to just read this statement for the record. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Chester Water Authority, I am honored to be here before you to recognize a true champion of public service. consumer advocacy, and the protection of Pennsylvania's public water systems. It is with great pride we present the first ever Public Water Award to Patrick Cicero, former Pennsylvania consumer advocate. This award was established to honor individuals and organizations whose unwavering dedication safeguards Pennsylvania's public water. It recognizes those who stand firm in their commitment to ensuring access, affordability, and high water quality for the people of our Commonwealth. Today, we celebrate an exceptional leader who has embodied these values throughout his career. Patrick Cicero's advocacy for utility consumers in Pennsylvania has been nothing short of remarkable. Appointed as Pennsylvania Consumer Advocate by Attorney General Josh Shapiro in December of 2021, and confirmed by the Pennsylvania Senate in June of 2022, Mr. Cicero has been a steadfast protector of public interest. As the head of the Pennsylvania Office of Consumer Advocate, he represented the people of Pennsylvania before the Public Utility Commission, federal agencies, and courts, fighting for fair rates and ensuring that essential services remain within reach of all consumers. CWA exists to serve our ratepayers with award-winning, affordable, and reliable water. For-profit companies, however, prioritize shareholders and profits over service. If it's not profitable, they won't do it. Plain and simple. This is why we created this award, to honor those fighting for the ratepayers of Pennsylvania. Water is life, and this distinction impacts communities across the Commonwealth. Pennsylvanians deserve strong advocates like Patrick Cicero, who stand with us for public utilities. Today, we want not only to honor his past efforts, but to reaffirm our collective commitment to protecting Pennsylvania's public water. We invite all of you to join us in recognizing Patrick Cicero's incredible service and dedication. We thank you, Mr. Cicero, for standing with the people of Pennsylvania and for being a true public warrior. Your work has made and will continue to make a lasting impact on communities across this great Commonwealth. Congratulations and thank you. If you can just. The award says CWA Public Water Award, Warrior Award 2025, Patrick Cicero.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon. I really appreciate it.
Very much.
Can I say a few
Absolutely.
All right. I don't know where to stand in this room. I don't want to stand in front of you. So I'll stand over in the corner if that's all right. First of all, it's a great, humbling honor to receive this award. I really appreciate it. I certainly do nothing in my life to get awards. I do everything because I'm privileged to be able to hold positions of public trust. I didn't want to be the consumer advocate. I was a legal aid lawyer and kind of dispositionally am a legal aid lawyer. And when the then Attorney General asked whether I would consider the position, I said yes if I get to do it as a legal aid lawyer, right? And do it aggressively to effectively represent the interests of Pennsylvania consumers. He liked that idea. He thought it was a great way to pursue the public interest. As you indicated, as was stated in the proclamation, water is life. And I can think of no more important public utility than effective, safe, reliable, and affordable water service and concomitantly wastewater service. When I became consumer advocate, I had no idea the whirlwind of activity that water privatization was going to beget, but it became immediately clear to me that we are facing what I consider to be an existential crisis of water affordability in Pennsylvania, and it's coming to a head. It's already come to a head. The vast majority of customers who are served as the water and wastewater utilities by the two largest investor-owned utilities in the Commonwealth are paying what I consider to be exorbitant amounts of money. I am not anti-privatization. I think there are systems in our Commonwealth that require consolidation and that require help. What I've seen though, in my time as consumer advocate is those are not the systems that are being aggressively targeted by the investor-owned utilities in Pennsylvania. The systems that are being aggressively targeted are well-funded, well-run systems like Chester Water Authority. And so all that I did, all that I did was say, hey, you gotta follow the law, right? Which says that you can't buy a system unless there is an affirmative public benefit that results from it. When you have a system like Chester Water Authority providing effective, safe, and high-quality service, it's really hard to find an affirmative public benefit from an investor-owned utility buying it. And so it'll be interesting to see how this works out. I look forward. I wish I could still be continuing the fight from the perch that I had. The current Attorney General had a different idea about what that consumer advocacy might look like. So it's unfortunate that I cannot. But I will continue to kind of fight for these causes from a different perch. I'm returning to legal aid and will continue to hopefully represent the interests of citizens of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to ensure safe, adequate, reliable, and affordable utility service. So thank you very much. I deeply appreciate the honor from the board. It's been always a pleasure working with Frank, and so I appreciate it.
If you could just stay there for a minute, I think Frank does have some comments, but I just want to tell you, and I don't know, you probably don't, you were on the Zoom part of the extended hearing about a year ago.
In January of last year.
January?
He was on that, and so were you.
Yeah,
We both-
right.
We both presented.
So we were on the panel, and I think Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Whitaker were also at the meeting, and also Mr.
Lenny
Rivera.
Rivera, yeah.
And we all said our piece to that panel, and some were for, some were against, as far as all the panelists that spoke. But when I heard Patrick speak, I said, this public advocate is outstanding. And this is a person that we would want to have on our team, on our side of the fence. So I hope that, on your new perch, you're going to be still able to provide the support to a lot of our ratepayers, our 45,000 ratepayers and over 200,000 people that we serve in this area. It's certainly critical at this time, especially, and we hope that you can continue with all your efforts. With that, I know Frank, you had something.
I'll let the board chief give the opportunity first, so.
Anybody else?
I was there, I heard what you said, and was very appreciative that, as you all just said, you're part of our team.
Thank you. I wanted to first thank the board for taking the time from its busy schedule to acknowledge Patrick's contribution to our joint effort to provide safe, affordable water at the lowest possible cost. Patrick spent most of the time that I interacted with him working on PUC matters, which fortunately doesn't affect us so far. But I think it's important that Patrick could go home every night, knowing that public service is its own reward, but it's important that we acknowledge what he has done for the benefit of all the people of Pennsylvania, because what he has achieved has been a great deal of work, some excellent results, especially in the East Whiteland case where he refined the court's approach in the Commonwealth Court for at least how they view what constitutes public benefit and what does not. That issue's on appeal. We'll be watching that very, very closely. But it's important to acknowledge his effort and his commitment to this cause, because although he has many, many clients, being most of the residents of Pennsylvania, they're never in a position where they call up and say, thank you, Patrick, my bill is $1.5. Just like I'm sure you're all shocked that your neighbors and friends, they'll call you up and say, thank you, board, for keeping this safe for the past 7 3/4 years. So it's an important step to inaugurate this award. I can think of no better person to be the first recipient of it. I wish him continued success, and I look forward to seeing what he's going to do in the next chapter.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Any other new business?
Is that where you want the article, new business? Is that
Sure,
comment you
sure,
want?
sure.
State CWA was asked to write an article about advocacy with ratepayers by the Pennsylvania Municipal Authorities Association, and it got published in the February edition. of the Authority magazine, so we have copies for the board. It starts on page 6. And so highlights our some of our community outreach and advocacy to ratepayers.
Anything else, new business wise? Any old business?
We have cake.
Okay, that's after adjournment.
We have cake for new business.
Or is that new business?
Just kidding. Don't run out.
That'll be 16.
Okay, any old business?
It's great cake. Thanks.
Okay, hearing none. Any public comment on other matters? None?
I think Bill wanted to say.
Okay, public comment?
This is addressed to Mr. Cicero.
You can stand up and point that.
Yeah.
Probably the same corner that you stood. That's a good one.
You're now on television.
Ooh, okay. Well, as I introduced myself earlier, I'm a co-founder of CWA. We formed that after our New Garden sewer system was acquired by Aqua, and they went to raise their rates. As a result of that, we have been very active in opposing rate increases, following acquisitions, and in doing what we can. When I saw Catherine's announcement about this award, I was both happy and delighted because Mr. Cicero clearly deserves this, and it's absolutely perfect. He is a great spokesman for the OCA. He's clear about the objectives. You were talking about I believe a Senate Democrat hearing.
Yeah.
He also spoke about a month earlier at a Democratic Utility Committee. There was a panel.
It was the House
House
panel for the
panel,
consumer
House panel,
affair. It was like the consumer protection.
utility
Consumer,
affairs, whatever.
Or committee.
I was there, and he was an eloquent spokesman and very clear about what the issue was. I was very impressed. So, the OCA is an extremely important organization. If you try to deal with the legal morass of the PUC and the government, it is mind-boggling. And I get involved in an awful lot of docket filings and stuff with the rate cases and the acquisition cases. And the OCA filings are the one you go to really understand what the issues are and what the legal positions are. So we are very, very appreciative of that. Extremely sorry to see you leave that position. We certainly wish you well. We certainly hope that you continue to advocate for ratepayers. It is really needed. So my heartfelt thanks for all the work you've done.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, any other public comment? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much.
Because they get laid out, they want it to. Yes. Yeah, right. We bought takeaway boxes.
Good, good. I have plates all right there.
All right, good. I'll grab it.